Could we all rise for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Reminder to please silence your cell phones during the meeting. And this is the time that we have a reorganization of the board, which takes place for the election of the president and vice president and the setting of dates and times for meetings for the coming year. Section 402 of the school code states that there shall be elected from the holdover members a temporary president to chair the reorganization meeting, and the secretary of the board shall act as the secretary of the meeting.
I'd like to make a motion for Richard Robinson to be the temporary president.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're up.
Come on, man.
Thank you, John, and my fellow Americans. Okay, now what do I do?
Don't let the power move.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to it. Well, this is ostensibly to report the meeting of the nominations committee that took place prior to this meeting. Do you need the roll call first? Thank you, Mr. Sears. You are the watchdog of our procedure. May we have a roll call vote?
Mrs. Fryrick?
Here.
Mr. Posnow?
Here.
Mr. Robinson?
Here.
Mr. Sanders?
Here.
Mr. Scalette?
Here.
Mrs. Schrader?
Here.
Mr. Sears?
Here.
Mr. Toman?
Here.
Mr. Watts?
Here.
Okay, now the report of the nominations committee. You can tell we operate as a well-oiled machine, right? The nominations committee met prior to this meeting and would like to recommend the slate of officers for president and vice president, John Posnow and Lois Ann Schrader. And I will now entertain a motion for the nomination of Mr. Posnow.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote?
Toman?
Yes.
Schrader?
Yes.
Posnow?
Really?
You don't vote for yourself, for God's
Sears?
sake.
Yes. Scalette?
Yes.
Fryrick?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Watts?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
All right, congratulations.
And now it is my pleasure to turn the chair over to you, Mr. President.
So let's continue on. Do we have nominations for, well, we have a nomination for vice president. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote?
Watts?
Yes.
Toman?
Yes.
Sears?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Scalette?
Yes.
Schrader?
Yes.
Posnow?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Fryrick?
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations.
And
There is posted online a proposed meeting schedule for the 2019 year. Have you had a chance to look at that? Does anybody have any problems with that schedule? Thank you. There are all of the committees, yeah.
Do you need a motion on that?
Do we need a motion to approve that? I guess we do. Could we have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
This can be a unanimous roll call vote.
This will be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes.
There are listed all of the board representative assignments on here. Since we're just starting this tonight, would you please email me your preferences, hopefully by Wednesday, and we will get all the assignments out and plan for the meetings. And any other business in this one? And I move, do we adjourn the reorganization meeting?
Second.
Okay, thank you. And now we're ready to start the meeting. And we will call it to order. At this time, excuse me, it's the first time for public comment. All comments and questions will be addressed to the president. Board and staff members will not normally respond to comments or questions during the meeting unless recognized by the president for this purpose. Comments will be limited at the discretion of the president to 5 minutes or less. Do we have anybody who wishes to speak? The board met prior to this meeting in executive session as permitted by Section 707 of the Sunshine Act for the purpose of discussing matters of personnel. No official action was taken. Dr. Williams.
Tonight we have with us representatives from the Education Foundation. I'll ask Sarah to introduce people who are accompanying her tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. I'm Sarah Reinecker. I'm the current president of the Education Foundation. Just wanted to give you a few updates and highlights from our 2018 year. As you know, YSEF raises private funds to do more for York suburban students. We do that by funding our annual classroom grants, as well as the work of the Student-Led Impact Foundation in the past couple of years. And since 2008, we've funded 122 grants totaling over $327,000. And just in 2018, we funded 8 grants totaling $52,800. I want to give you a few examples of what those classroom grants are doing this year. In the high school, it was actually an expansion of a greenhouse project that we funded in 2017 at East York. It was very successful, and the high school decided they wanted to have an opportunity to expand the project into the high school. We also funded $4,000 to purchase hydrogen fuel cell and wind turbine model kits to enhance the learning of chemistry in the chemistry classroom to teach students more about sustainable energy. We funded this year, once again, $40,000 to expand the STEAM project throughout the district that goes all the way from kindergarten through the high school. That was in addition to $40,000 that we funded in 2017, so a total of $80,000 in 2 years to increase the STEAM initiative throughout the district. We continue to grow our corporate relationships as well. Through the Pennsylvania Educational Improvement Tax Credit Program, we were able to secure $27,000 in funding this past year in 2018, and all of that funding is actually a big portion of how we were able to fund the STEAM project in the past 2 years, because that is an approved EITC program. This, of course, is all sustained through the incredible wide-ranging volunteers and staff that actually apply for the grants, and then they actually then have to implement the grants, and that's all extra work for them, and we really appreciate the enthusiasm by which the staff gets that doing more in their classrooms for students. We also are really proud of what's happened with the Impact Foundation over the past few years since we've started that initiative. And to give you a little glimpse on what the students are working on, what better way than to call on students themselves. So I'd love to introduce Olivia Pinzola, who is the president of the Impact Foundation this year, and Augustine Huh will also be making some comments, who is the vice president. Olivia is a senior. Augustine is the chair-elect, so he'll be the president next year as vice president this year. Olivia?
Good evening. I'm Liv Pinzola, and I'm president of the Impact Foundation. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. Impact Closets have been going well in their second full year of operation. 2 students are assigned to manage the closets at each building. We manage inventory and fulfill need requests assigned as they come in through the guidance counselors and staff at each building via the request form on the YSEF website. We've also met with the social worker, Ms. King, to give her a tour and background of the function of the Impact Closets. The needs have ranged from bed sheets to sneakers to hygiene products. We also confirmed needs for school supplies at the end of last year and prepared back-to-school supply kits that we were distributed to each school for distribution on the first day. In collaboration with Luther Memorial Church and the school district, we helped start the Food for Thought Week and Backpack program last year. In the first year of operation, we sent home 800 backpacks with students at Valley View and Indian Rock. We ranged from 8 to 15 backpacks at first to about 30 the last few months. This year we added the high school. We sent home 38 backpacks the first week to Valley View and Indian Rock and are currently at 47, plus the high school, which we're predicting to be about 90 total bags for the year. We are on target to total about 1,500 packs by the end of the year. We received a second and final donation from the Construction Financial Management Association over the summer. We've built our funding reach through grant writing and have secured $4,000 so far this year through grants. We'll be reaching out to individual donor lists we've developed. Last spring, we conducted tours with donors and raised $1,500. Our continued focus and challenge will be sustainable funding, as it takes about $6,500 to $7,000 a year to send 1,300 to 1,400 packs home during the school year, and it's clear the needs are growing. Steve will now share a few more details about the Food for Thought program.
Hello. So I'm primarily responsible for the FFT backpacking program. So every Thursday afternoon, our student board members walk to the church to pack the backpack and then deliver the packs to the staff at each school. And we have second-tier underclassmen involved too, which is great for a board building. The food is purchased through the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, and we help shelf and keep count of the inventory. And we've also opened an account in the York County Food Bank. And we've also planned multiple in-kind food drives, such as at the YSF alumni event and the high school trick-or-treat night, as well as throughout multiple neighborhoods through an app called Next Door. And what we do here takes a big team to make happen, and we are learning so much. And we want to thank all of the volunteers who helped us get this program started, and the school board for providing us the opportunity to present.
So as you can see, we're in good hands. And the one other development that I wanted to introduce and let you know about is I'm the outgoing chair, and replacing me is Mac Brillhart, who's an attorney at Stock and Leader. I wanted to introduce you to Mac. He'll be the board chair starting in January. So thank you, Mac, for your future leadership, and it's been a pleasure serving the board and having an opportunity to come and speak with you. Thank you so much. Are there any questions?
And with the money that you put into, you have a large amount, I believe, the Community Foundation. Earmarks for that. What's that going to be for?
There are 3 funds at the Community Foundation. One is the Jeffrey D. Sindicich Foundation Fund, and that actually funds grants. So we do realize the proceeds off of that particular endowment. That's a true endowment. Then we have a second, right now it's as an endowment that we're trying to build, which is the Richard Geyer Fund. That fund started when Dick retired for the first time as swimming coach, and there was a desire to, honor his retirement. So the goal there, and this is just based on the rules of how the Community Foundation runs, the goal is to get that endowment up to $25,000, and then once again we'll realize the proceeds off of that. That's at about $17,000 now, so we're trying to build that over time. And then the third fund that we have is the Foundation's endowment, and that's based for sustainability. So right now we've been rolling all of the proceeds back into the fund, which is how you build an endowment fund so that you have a sustainable future for any organization, which is excellent planning. And then the board will come to decisions in the future if we feel like we would want to realize the proceeds off of those funds to then put back into funding more grants or more initiatives, depending on, what the goals are at that time.
What's your goal for that? If you have $300,000, almost $400,000 at the community fund.
We actually, right. Well, we have
fund for the third fund.
Yeah, and the total of those 3 funds is about $350,000. The total of those 3. So we really haven't set an actual endowment fund goal, but we do have an investment policy in place that we do look to reinvest those funds right now. Yep, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Well, I'd like to take a moment just to thank you for your service as the president. I mean, the work is just tremendous.
Thank you, but it's certainly a team.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve, but it's certainly a team, and hundreds of people over the years that we've worked with to build since 2008, and it's really been a pleasure. Thank you.
This probably can go without saying, but how proud I think we are as a board and as a school district that you have taught the students, or they have taught you, however the case may be, to carry this on. I mean, that may not be truly unique, but I think it's somewhat unique in that the kids have taken hold of such a great project, and with the leadership of the foundation to carry that on. I mean, it's just awesome, and you know, to the kids here, thank you also, because it's a great thing to reach out and help classmates, and the association with the churches that are involved. I mean, I think it's just shows great leadership, and as a board and a district, hats off. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And, you know, one thing I want to say about the Impact Foundation, there's really a two-prong goal there. One is to teach kids about nonprofit service, but also to teach kids about helping. And just last week, we had 5 submissions through our website portal for help from the staff for families that need assistance. And we involve the kids in going into the closets and seeing what the needs are and actually delivering those services to the staff when we can. Obviously, they're in school all day, and that's a priority. But those needs are continuing to grow, and those requests are continuing to grow. And, you know, their motto is students helping students, and they do that every day. And that's really been, you know, just a gigantic reward in terms of them seeing it with their own eyes, that what the needs are. So thank you for that. Anything else? Okay, thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Lois Ann, it is fairly unique.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is. I've enjoyed working with Sarah. I know I'm going to enjoy working with Mac also. What you guys have done is terrific. And it is fairly unique. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Mhm. What, you're not going to stay?
Democracy.
Thank you.
All right, administrative reports tonight. I think we'll start with Dr. Gully, the elementary level.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Good
Yes, sir.
evening, everybody. It's my pleasure this evening to tell you about a new organization that we have in Indian Rock. We started this about a month ago. It's called the Right Hand Roadrunners. You know, our mascot is the Roadrunner. We're all Trojans, but we're also Roadrunners. And Mrs. Amsbacher, the school counselor, and I, we were getting together to try to put together a new student group. And we thought about different opportunities for kids to show their leadership skills, to give them some input into the different jobs of what we do within the building. So we came up with this Right Hand Roadrunner organization. And it really mirrors a lot of what's done at the high school, but also at the middle school, again, giving students responsibility, communication, leadership type of skills. So what started out is something very small in trying to get hall monitors to help assist with our current staff. Because those lunch times, recess times coming in, we just don't have the staffing in the hallways. We have supervision, which is proper and it's appropriate, but we're looking for more of a presence. So we recruited students, and we focused more on just the 4th and 5th grade students. And the job of the students is not to supervise in any way, shape, or form. We basically just position them in the hallways with a clipboard, and they're encouraging the We Rock roles that we have that follow up with 4B roles and Got Pride, and it goes all the way K to 12. So the students are positioned in the hallways, and they have clipboards, and they're watching students, encouraging to walk on the right, single file, and just use those inside voices. So what we did is we called the 4th and 5th graders down by class, and we had about 80 students per grade level that came to each of our separate meetings. And we discussed the type of prerequisites that would be necessary for them to be right-hand roadrunners, such as following directions, you know, knowing the We Rock rules, being patient, have a positive attitude, positive relationships with their peers, showing good judgment, being fair, and of course being able to understand and follow written instructions as well. And then what we had the students do, once we discussed the different jobs, what became hall monitors then became a morning and afternoon bus ramp greeters, morning and afternoon hallway greeters. We now have students who are student ambassadors, that are new family tour guides. We have a grounds crew. We did a lot of work today with leaves. We have 6 students out. We have rakes. We were bagging leaves. We also have students for flag duty, morning announcers, and then every morning we have our morning pouch collectors. So between those 8 jobs, what we got back from the applications, in the application there was one written prompt, and that is, what do you think would make an excellent right-hand roadrunner? So the students had an opportunity over the weekend to do their written response, gave back their essay to Mrs. Amsbacher and myself, and we went through. Well, what we found out is we got 96 back, which is amazing, which is roughly 42% of our 4th and 5th grade students. So we got to the idea, like, oh my goodness, how are we going to find, because we didn't want to turn anybody away. We told them it was going to be competitive, it needed to be quality, and of course they have to have these prerequisite skills to be a right-hand roadrunner. Well, we found a job for everybody. We really did. And so it's working out very well with that. But the presence and the pride that the kids are taking within the building is amazing. Not only with themselves, but also with the staff. And they take their jobs very seriously. And really, these increments that they have, they're not missing any class time at all. So between lunch and recess, they might miss that 3 to 5 minutes if they happen to leave early during a transition. But, the staff were with them at all times. But the feedback we're getting from parents and just seeing students around in the building, they've really taken to it. So our idea with the benefits, obviously, is to continue promoting that positive school culture that we already have at Indian Rock, but also that's caring school environment. And we also believe it's going to have a positive impact on discipline, reducing the number of referrals. And the kids have really taken ownership of that. And again, I think if you see it in action, if you come to the building, you'll see the presence that we have throughout the building, and just the communication and leadership skills that we're starting to build. So hopefully we, put them, have those skills by the time they get to middle school and high school. But that's the Right Hand Roadrunner Club, and it's off to a wonderful start. Thoughts or comments?
That sounds like a really neat idea. They're taking charge of the building.
It is,
So to speak, so to speak.
And the idea, of course, third graders, when they were in the building, is like, well, what about us? And the idea is that we sort of made that more of a 4th and 5th grade, something you work towards, and then continue building upon that. But we're going to continue meeting each month with the kids, get their feedback on things we can improve on, and really, it's made a difference in our hallways. So we're proud of the kids. Thank you.
Dr. Ellis.
As I thought about what I might want to share with you, I'm kind of lucky that Lauren's not here tonight because I won't steal some of her thunder with some of the pieces. But I know you've heard a lot about our proposals, a lot of things that we've been working on as Mr. Shire was here before we moved to the middle school, as well as Dr. Adams have shared those pieces. And I came back to the fact that kids have been filling up my calendar lately. And I thought that was really cool that I share some of those pieces, that I've had regular meetings during my flex period at the end of the day with students that have come with ideas and initiatives that they've been running with. One of which this past summer, Sophia Geyer, a sophomore, actually Dick Geyer's granddaughter, just coincidentally, has had an interest in Amnesty International. And she has chartered an Amnesty club for our high school and has really gotten a lot of students to get behind that and the initiatives that are there. So it's neat to see all her ideas and all the activities that she's trying to put forth and the leadership that she's taking for that group. So it's neat to see that student leadership growing. The next day, Project Harmony visited me, and I'm excited to see that group has really reborn itself. I understand about a decade ago to 15 years ago, there was as many as 100 students in it. A few years ago, we thought we might actually have to end the club because of lack of interest, but it's regrown up to this, I think she said about 40 members are there. They're actively planning a diversity week for the springtime to really talk about the differences and similarities of all our students in the building and really get some appreciation and understanding. So again, it's all student-led. Mrs. Bedell just pushes them in the right direction, and they've been really running with a lot of activities, making contacts out in the real world to try to facilitate some of these organizations, which has been great. And there's been other smaller little pieces that I hope are just getting started and people are interested in. One of our young ladies has started a Miss Latina program. She was second place in the Miss Latina York County. So she's trying to create an organization and club for some of our Hispanic students as well as their friends to try to give them some opportunities in terms of advancement and pieces. So a lot of these little initiatives have been great to see the students taking ownership of it and trying to run with activities. Of course, you see the big picture ones over Twitter all the time or over Facebook. Mini-thon, the kids have been going bonkers on that like they always have in terms of the fundraising. I do hope some of the pictures get out from No Shave November. Today, the male faculty members that lost got a chance to reveal. I'm not sure if you saw the pictures yet, but Mr. Whiteley had a candy cane mustache and beard that wrapped around like this. So he shaved this whole portion, and this whole portion just had this little piece, and then his wife dyed it red and white and so forth. There was a couple different, the 6 that lost, there were a number of different varieties that were shown. Mr. Marshall, I think, had purple goatee, and so it was neat to do it. But they raised over $2,500 just through No Shave November, and it all became by students sponsored different teachers, and they actively worked to try to gather funds, and classes donated to it, and the teachers worked collaboratively with it. So it was another great activity to raise funds that really was a real good spirit piece. They redirected and so forth. They had bingo night prepared for next week, which they can't do. We have to be conscious of games of chance and so forth, but they've turned it now into a bingo event. So they're just going to play for the fun of it, not necessarily for any of the gamble or otherwise, because the kids amazes me that high school kids love playing bingo, but they actually were very excited to have that piece. So they are planning that out, as well as Mr. YS in the springtime and some other pieces to keep that going forward. So it's really neat to see the initiative the high school students take. It's a little bit scary sometimes to say students go and run with these things, but that's part of their growth process and part of the learning process, and we really do have a lot of very caring and passionate kids. You saw a couple of them here tonight, Liv and Augustine, that are doing great work with the Impact Foundation, and I can name 100 kids that like that in our high school, which makes it a great place to go every day and to work with them and to see their initiative and their goals. So, of course, beyond that, tomorrow's Keystones, so that's certainly a piece that we're thinking about in the school. So hopefully all the juniors are home about to go to sleep. I'm sure that's not the case, but we'll knock that out like we always do and then quickly forget about it and move on to much more important things. But I thank you for the time here to share a little bit of what the kids are doing, and again, I'm really proud of what we have and all the work that the kids are doing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
I saw the girls finally won the orange and black again.
Yes.
The swim meet.
Yep.
And that concludes our report.
Could you maybe sometime January give us some feedback on the work of the social worker, which is something really new to our district?
We're actually going to have a report. We have that on the second meeting in January.
Okay,
Second
I'm
meeting,
just curious.
yep, it's already planned.
3-4 months. Good, thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Ms. Mason.
Thank you. The first item that is on the agenda for voting for the next meeting is the proposed 1920 York County School of Technology budget. That's for consideration and approval. And Mrs. Schrader, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I really don't, except if there are questions or concerns that we have in terms of detail. The administration at the technical school has volunteered to come and meet with us. I know they've done that a year or two before, so if anybody in your research has a specific question, they're happy to come and answer. I mean, I continue to be proud of the work they do, and I think they've been very diligent in planning their budget, so I'm pleased that we can be a part of it and support it. So
I believe they're coming in with a 0 increase. Is that accurate?
I'm not, I'm a little embarrassed. I don't know exactly. Should have been more prepared. You may be right, John. I'll have to look at the.
If it's not 0, it's like point.
It's very slim.
2-3%.
I was thinking it was just a
It's really de minimis.
I
Yeah.
was thinking it was very slight.
Yeah, it terribly slight. Did you want to mention anything about the first meeting in January?
Oh, yes. The administration has worked out so that our meeting is going to be, the first meeting in January, is going to be at VOTEC, the School of Technology. And they're going to feed us, which is always a plus. Their food services kids do a great job. But we'll tour the facility and be able to see some of that facility hands-on. Yeah, so that's.
We won't be able to see everything, but we'll take you to spots they'll make you go, huh. Make you think differently maybe about what they have going on there. We're not gonna go visit the traditional things like cosmetology, we're gonna go visit things that are, relatively new to the repertoire.
Is that going to be basically at the same time or earlier, just so I can put it on my calendar?
Earlier.
Earlier.
Yeah, we'll have our board meeting there at 7 o'clock. We haven't hammered out the details yet for the dinner and the tour, but it'd be 5:30-ish, somewhere in there. So if you can block out 5 o'clock, that's the best possible. Yeah,
That's something we have to advertise that our meeting will be moved?
yes. We'll advertise it with the whole slate of meetings for the upcoming year.
If anyone would have any just general questions or just a question that you'd want me to pose to the administration at the School of Technology prior to that meeting, I'd be happy to do that as well. And then the second item that we've been asking approval for is the actual agreement with the company that is working on our scenarios for flipping schedules and looking at routing efficiencies, and if there's actually another way to address our time concerns, constraints, what have you, on flipping schedules, and is there in fact may be another way to do it without actually flipping the schedule. Dr. Krauser actually gave Dr. Williams' report on that particular piece at the last meeting.
Is this the company, is this local or does this, I mean, I don't know.
It's the company that actually owns and develops the software for the routing, for the bus routing. There's nobody more expert in the routing software than them. And
Different from what Reliance uses then, I mean.
No, it
Oh,
is the
it's-
same.
It's the same one.
It's TransFinder, the same company that helps us with our routing,
Okay.
but they are taking our data and using it in different ways.
Okay.
They can do it much faster than we can.
Okay.
and much more accurately than we
And
can.
the cost of this is,
$8,000,
Yeah, $8,000.
and their timeframe is?
February.
They'll be using scenarios that administration provides, but they may also come back and say, here are other scenarios that we think might be.
Exactly.
They can think outside the box.
Correct.
They have the ability to, yes.
So they're looking at impacts across elementary, intermediate, and high school
Right,
for the sole purpose of switching high school start times to be later.
potentially. Or
doing
condense the
something
time
more
between.
efficient, whether it involves a flip
But the
or
goal
not.
is to see whether or not making high school start times later.
Well, they're looking at, that's one of the scenarios. Another scenario is looking at the tiered busing. Another one would be actually just changing our bell schedules. Are our bell schedules a good fit? So that's 3 scenarios that we've kind of talked to them about already. The one about the tiered.
Yeah,
We're going to plug our data into those kinds of suggestions and see if it works, is that what you're saying? Or they're going to?
It's a little more than just plugging. They're gonna pull all of our data on our current routes and then pull all of our bell schedules and then
Kind of see how they.
see how it can all fit together.
Okay.
Do we know, I know that this is not, this happens elsewhere. We're
Mhm.
not the first district to do this. So I would think this software package has been used for this kind of thing elsewhere? Is that a leap?
There are other districts in the county that use TransFinder software. That's correct. We're not the only ones that use it. But we're one of the few districts in the county that we do not do our own routing. And that's why they're doing it, because they handle all of the routing, we don't.
What I was driving at is, are we able to learn from districts elsewhere who have accomplished the goal we're looking to do in terms of a later start time for the high school?
The only one who's done that so far that uses TransFinder would be Southwestern, but they've been flipped for several years now. So, and they only switched to TransFinder 2 years ago.
And so the answer to your question is yes and no, because some of the scenarios we presented to to the software people are things that they'd never considered. So the answer is yes and no.
So this is more analytics than it is plugging this into their program. They're looking at options and...
Right, trying to be creative with how to be more efficient.
One more technical question, if you can't answer, that's fine. Is this software is actually, it's pulling from actual data like traffic volumes and specific times of day and things like that?
I don't know the answer to that. I can find out.
They rely on GIS data.
Right, but like,
I don't know if that takes into account traffic flows at certain times of the day or not.
the road could have, 700 cars on it during the 8 o'clock hour, but, only 100 cars in the... I would assume they have to be able to pull something to make this relevant to us. I mean, how else would they say that, it's efficient this way or this time versus that time? Okay. Yeah, it'd be nice to know if they've got that source before we vote on it.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Hey, you have the meeting schedule posted for the remainder of this year, such that it is. Academic standards and curriculum report.
We met last week, and the minutes from our September meeting are provided. So.
Mr. Posano, the Personnel Committee recommends the employment of Teresa Jackson as high school assistant principal at a salary of $90,000 effective on or before January 15th. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? Yes, this can be a short roll call vote.
This will be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes.
This is the last time you'll smile on this
No, come on, Joel.
Welcome to the dark side.
Yeah, should I?
Welcome to the dark side.
Welcome to the dark side.
That's brilliant.
It's on the record, too.
The committee would also like to recommend the approval of the following volunteers effective December 4th, 2018, Donna Kearns and Ronald Lewis.
So moved.
Questions, comments? Again, it's going to be a short roll call vote.
This will be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes.
No. You have the Dawn's Early Light highlights posted?
Well, Teresa, would you care to?
I'll introduce her, we'll do it that way, and so forth. Very pleased to bring Teresa onto our administrative team. Many of you know her as a familiar face. She's been a teacher in the building for about 10 years. I don't know the exact piece, shortly before I was able to get here. But we're very, very fortunate to have her. It's a great opportunity to be able to keep the steam moving along with what we're doing, so to speak. She understands the culture of our building, having worked within it for many, many years, and she emerged as the clear favorite through a very talented pool of candidates. I was very pleased to see her emerge that way. So very much looking forward to her working. Unfortunately, she does have 5 classes we still have to figure out what to do with and make sure that they're taken care of, so it'll be a slow transition, which was referenced in that January 15th or thereabouts date, to make sure that we have her classes well taken care of. But we're very, very lucky to bring someone on board. Pleased to have her, and as a sidelight, ironic, she did her administrative internship with Dr. Furman while she was still an assistant principal at the high school, and then as she began at East Shore. So it also gave a great opportunity to have worked with a great leader in Dr. Furman, which has been instrumental in getting us to this point. So welcome, Teresa. It's great to have you on board. And you want to say anything?
I just wanted to thank you so much for this opportunity to grow professionally at York Suburban. There's no place I'd rather be, and there's not a staff I'd rather work with than the high school staff. So thank you again.
Welcome.
So
Suppose now, before concluding my report, I didn't want to delay your resumption of office any longer than necessary, but I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of my board colleagues who considered running for the heavy burdens of office, and also my colleagues on the nominating committee who took this charge very seriously and gave it their all. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, LIU Joint Operating Authority report?
I have no report this evening.
How about York Adams again?
As I do, we are getting ready for our December graduation, which is the next week, December 11th at 7 o'clock at the York Learning Center. And we have 2 York Suburban students who will be graduating, Yakeem Jones and Bailey Singleton, and Bailey will be one of our featured speakers next week at graduation, so I'm very proud of that. And that concludes my report.
York County School of Technology?
Yes, I just wanted to share one way that the School of Technology and York Suburban have worked together. The School of Technology Administration asked that I convey their thanks to the Suburban District. You may or may not be aware that during their open house, because they have so many visitors and parking is limited, their faculty and staff park here and are bused over to the School of Technology for that event to free up a few more parking spaces. And they're very grateful for that opportunity to work with the York Suburban School District. So I just wanted to share that and encourage you, if you haven't done so, to read the mini board report that is provided.
We have 2 dates for our board retreat planning session, strategic planning. It's February the 11th and the 25th. They're off Mondays from their normal cycle. We are told that one day will do it, but we have 2 days because that's the time that it snows occasionally. So, I would say that this has been a really challenging year for the board, but it's been a fulfilling year. We've had new board members come on. We've had sort of a transition in the board itself. And so it's been a year of learning for everybody. This will be an opportunity for us to come together and move past this year and move back towards sort of strategic vision of where we want to go. We have a new superintendent. We have renewed vigor. So I think this planning or strategic retreat, whatever we want to call it, will be opportune. I think there are a lot of challenges coming to us in the next 3 years that we have to make some hard decisions about. So this will be key, I believe. And timing will be right now because we will have a State of the District report. We'll have an opportunity to have some of the studies return. So I think we're in a good place moving forward. So with that, I would like to thank all the visitors that have joined us tonight. Welcome. And this is your last opportunity for public comment.
Question. We've got this list of possible meeting dates for committees. Is this something we're supposed to respond to somebody about? Let you know what committees we want to. Do you know
one of the goals, I believe, and you can help me out, was to try to standardize committee dates so they weren't all over the place. Mm-hmm. And I believe the dates are all on a single day throughout Wednesdays throughout the month. Mm-hmm. So that was the purpose for that.
Administration put that together in hopes of acceptance, that it makes sense. If it doesn't, we'll change it. But that's just something administration put together as a recommendation for a committee meeting dates and times. Trying to be a little bit more consistent, so that I think these are all Wednesdays. So that, if Wednesday's rolling around, you don't have to think, wait a minute, is that meeting on Thursday? Is it Wednesday? Is it Tuesday? They're always Wednesdays. And trying to be fairly consistent with when they are so that it's easier to remember. Because when you get to my age...
we need all the help we can get.
Oh, boy, are you guys in for a big shock in the years to come.
Hey, John, the retreat
Yes.
time, 7-ish, or we don't know?
Yeah, we haven't set a time yet.
Okay.
We wanted to get the dates locked in.
Okay.
And we thought we thought that it would be good to have them on those days since everybody commits Mondays rather than like setting aside Saturdays or something, so.
Yeah, so I like this, and I'll let you know with my committees. The only thing I would caution us is, so there, you got a 4 o'clock and a 5 o'clock, so whatever the 5 o'clock meeting is, it's going to, they're at the mercy of the 4 o'clock too. If they're not adjourned by then you're gonna have to delay the start.
It encourages efficiency.
Not all meetings can, they can be efficient, but not necessarily in an hour, so.
That's true. Okay. Again.
We can do it.
Last chance for public comment. Nothing? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we're adjourned.